The right answer to the U.S.-Canada relationship on trade is to go back to the table on USMCA, find anything that hasn't worked, anything that can be made better, negotiate and make it better.
The joint resolution passed 50 to 46. It's the latest in a series of votes this week to terminate the national emergencies that Trump is using to impose the tariffs. But ultimately, it's a symbolic move. House Republicans have passed new rules preventing the resolution from getting a vote in the House.
Are things which an undergraduate after maybe 3 weeks wouldn't say.
Wow.
I'll give you an example. Tariffs. He keeps saying, and he said it before, the tariffs, I'm going to get China with these tariffs. Tariffs are paid by Americans to the American government. Tariffs are a tax. They just have it's a tax on imports to which we have given historically a particular name, tariff. But it's a tax. And people ought to wonder, the anti-tax party, Republicans, are the big gung-ho for a tax. Something has changed. He keeps thinking that he hit other countries with a tariff. No, you hit us with the tariff. We have to pay it. It means we will have to pay more for everything you attach a tariff to.
The president's imposition of tariffs against Canada that will be a costly tax increase on American families.
This is a tax, plain and simple. Taxes should not be enacted by one person. So I will vote today to end the emergency. I will vote today to try to reclaim the power of taxation, the power of the tariff, to where the Constitution designated it should properly be, and that is in Congress.
The yeas are 51. The nays are 48. The joint resolution's passed.
The Senate has voted more than once this week to roll back tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump. The first vote regarding Brazil's tariffs took place on Tuesday. The second vote to nullify tariffs on Canada took place yesterday. And last but not least, the vote to end the national emergency that enabled them in the first place was voted on today. 4 Republican senators joined Democrats in this effort: Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski. While some of these names have been seen splitting previously, such as Rand Paul, he's been dropping some great speeches on C-SPAN in regard to the extrajudicious killings off the coast of South America, shifts by some of the biggest Republican boogeymen like Mitch McConnell show that cracks are forming in the once solid support for the Trump-led trade and emergency powers approach. But there is a catch, unfortunately. The tariffs are not gone yet. The Senate's vote is only one step in the right direction, and the House still has to act as well. And even then, the president can veto it, and Congress would need a 2/3 majority in both chambers to override. So while the legal change isn't final, this marks an inflection point that I do believe deserves some celebration. Congress is flexing its muscles a bit, and members of the president's own party are publicly breaking rank. We've got a ways to go, but just take a moment. It's important to savor this because it's not often news, or it's not often we get news that even inspires just a little bit of hope.
In a surprising twist, 4 Republican senators broke rank with President Donald Trump, joining Democrats to stop full-blown tariff war with Canada and Brazil. Their bold move sent shocking waves through Washington, making a rare moment where party loyalists gave way to national interest. This is true verdict, uncovering the real story behind America's trade battle and political division.
Let me start with Canada. As the head of the Interparliamentarian Group with Canada, I spent a lot of time working with the Canadians. It is one embassy years ago, when America was disliked by a lot of countries, that displayed on their embassy huge banners that said friend, ally, partner. For so many of our states, they are our biggest trading partner. They fought alongside us in 2 world wars. They are our partners in NORAD and in NATO. They worked with us together on supply chains and getting them back working after the pandemic. They are setting new historic goals. Canada is to contribute to our collective defense, planning to triple defense spending over the next decade. So what does this administration do? Slap them with a 35% tariff? And then, just because the president woke up in the morning and didn't like an ad that quoted a beloved Republican president, Ronald Reagan, didn't like it, He says, well, I'm going to give them 10% more. Yet this is a country with which we share a trade agreement that this president negotiated with Mexico and Canada. If you want to make changes, like for dairy or other things, do it in the review of that agreement. Don't do it like this to a neighbor and friend. Secondly, what do these tariffs mean to America, mean to the people in our country? Combined, they've been changed over 100 times. Total chaos. Inflation is up. Manufacturing jobs are down. Small farm bankruptcies are at their highest level in 5 years, and every senator in this chamber has heard from their beef producers or heard from their soybean farmers what is happening right now. As one of my farmers called it, a perfect storm of ugly. For an individual family right now, these tariffs mean a $2,000 tax per family. Tools are up. Audio equipment costs more. This is the effect of this tariff policy on individual families in America. So we can have high-ended debates here, but at home they're looking at their grocery prices, they're looking at their markets, their family farms that they spent a century, they're the next in line to take it over, drying up. That's what these tariffs are about. Then finally, this president cannot keep abusing his power like this. There is a reason, when you look at the numbers, who supports this resolution. United Steelworkers, International Association of Machinists, North America's Building Trades Unions, the AFL-CIO, the Chamber of Commerce, the National Taxpayers Union, the National Retail Federation, have all endorsed this resolution. But unfortunately, with a few exceptions, our friends on the other side of the aisle are just rubber stamping what this president wants. Well, it is time for us to stand up. This vote is about reasserting Congress's constitutional role. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution gives Congress, not the President, the power to impose tariffs and regulate commerce with foreign nations. We must stand up for American workers, businesses, and consumers, and remind our allies and ourselves that America keeps its word.
Let's walk through just how bad things are going for the guy who's getting hit by strokes instead of hitting strokes. In the past 2 days, the Senate has passed 2 resolutions overturning his tariffs on Brazilian and Canadian imports. And both resolutions were introduced by Democratic Senator from Virginia, Tim Kaine. Tuesday's resolution to end taxes on Brazilian imports passed 52-48, with 5 Republican senators joining Democrats. Those Republican senators are Mitch McConnell, Tom Tillis, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Rand Paul. To his credit, Rand Paul is correct in saying that this is a tax on U.S. consumers and that the Constitution requires that taxes must originate in the House of Representatives, because Congress controls the purse. And then this afternoon, 4 Republican senators joined Democrats in passing the resolution to end taxes on Canadian imports. That resolution passed 50-46. And for some reason, the Republican senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis, didn't join Senators Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Rand Paul this time. Because of his dumb tariffs, U.S. trade partners are turning to Asia for trade. And predictably, the Republican Party's #1 frenemy is filling the vacuum that the United States created. And the party that's hoodwinked the American people into believing that they are the fiscally responsible party has overseen the largest tax increase since 1993. Because of these heavy taxes on imports, the average American household faces an additional $1,300 in taxes this year and $2,000 next year. The Tax Foundation also found that the administration's tariffs have pushed the average effective tariff rate to 11.4%, the highest level since 1943. Speaking of irresponsible fiscal policy, the U.S. government's debt burden is on track to surpass Italy and Greece. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, forecasts that the general government gross debt in the United States will rise by more than 20 percentage points from now to reach 143.4% of the country's GDP by 2029. The IMF also estimates that our budget deficit will hover above 7% of GDP every year until 2030, which is the highest of any wealthy nation. Even worse, the Congressional Budget Office expects the U.S. debt to GDP ratio to continue to rise for decades after 2029. This chart shows that the United States, in dark blue, is on a steady trajectory. This chart illustrates that we've been on this path since President Reagan, the nightmare president that just keeps giving. Meanwhile, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that the Republican Party shutdown will cost the American taxpayer $14 billion. The shutdown alone has shrank the GDP 1 to 2 percentage points. As of today, the shutdown has cost taxpayers $7 billion. And if the government remains shut down until the end of November, that will cost taxpayers $14 billion. With this context, one could argue that the House Speaker and the administration are defrauding the United States. But instead of being willing to compromise with Democrats over the ACA tax credits and passing a clean CR, Republicans are more concerned about their chances in the midterms.
Okay, so even some Republicans are rebuking Trump now, and honestly, that says a lot. The Senate just voted to overturn his new tariffs on Brazil and Canada, which means both Republicans and Democrats are agreeing that those tariffs are bad for the economy. Trump declared a national emergency to slap 50% tariffs on Brazilian imports like beef and coffee, saying Brazil was doing something shady with the former president. But the Senate said, absolutely not. They voted 52 to 48 to undo it, and 5 Republicans joined the Democrats to make it happen. Then they did it again. The next day, the Senate voted 50 to 46 to cancel Trump's tariffs on Canada. 4 more Republicans sided with Democrats. Even Mitch McConnell said tariffs make it harder to build and buy in America. That kind of agreement doesn't happen often. When both parties say the same policy is hurting American businesses and consumers, you know it's serious. These tariffs raise prices, hit small businesses, and make everything from groceries to construction materials more expensive. The votes are mostly symbolic for now, but symbol or not, this is huge. It shows that both sides finally agree on something. Trump's tariffs are bad for the economy and bad for Americans' wallets. So yeah, Republicans and Democrats actually found some common ground by rebuking Trump.
When President Donald Trump announced new tariff on steel, aluminum, and agricultural imports from Canada and Brazil, the goal was clear: to protect American jobs and industry. But what followed was economic turbulence and global tension. 4 Republican senators, known for their conservative value, stood up, warning that this tariff will do more harm than good. They argued that punishing allies like Canada and Brazil could cripple American farmers, raise consumer price, and restrain international partnership built over decades. The senators joined hands with Democrats, forming a bipartisan front, a rare sense in today's divided Congress. Their resolution aims at the expansion of Trump's tariff power and push for smart trade negotiation instead of economic welfare. The reaction was explosive. Trump loyalists accused them of betrayal, while economists and business leaders praised their move as a step forward to stabilize and global cooperation. The farmer and manufacturer and an exporter across America finally has a voice in Washington. Leadership willingly to protect their livelihood from triple effect of trade wars. The senator decision carried much advantage: stabilizing markets, reducing inflation risk, and protecting America's relationship with 2 of its close trade partners. It also preserved thousands of jobs in the industry, depending on steel, soybeans, and agriculture. Most importantly, it proved that unity across party lines can still serve the nation's best interests. As at the time when party loyalty is often overshadowed patriotism, 4 Republican senators reminded America that leadership means standing for truth, not for politics. Their stand against tariff war wasn't about choosing sides, but choosing the people. As the debate continues, one question remains: should America isolate itself behind economic war, or build bridges through fear and trade balance? Here as true verdict: we believe in telling the story that matters, story that hold leaders accountable and inspire unity. We give special credit to the Stitches video that made this documentary possible. To our loyal viewers, thanks for your support. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave your opinion below. Your voice shapes the conversation. This is True Verdict, where facts meet courage and trust always wins.